What's up, guys, and welcome back to yet another episode of vilitefilms, the show that'll get you as a filmmaker to where you need to be. And today we're going to be answering some questions. Like I said in previous episodes, if you have a question and you want your question to be featured on an upcoming episode like so, all you have to do is comment in the comment section your question, and we will answer your question on our next episode. First question. I want to major in the film industry and of course be a director, but have never made any content or had crew to make movies. However, I love watching movies and seeing scenes of how they produce them and have a lot of creative ideas. What advice would you give me to succeed? First of all, I would start off by just getting a crew, okay? It's not as hard as you think to find a crew. It's really easy to find a crew. You can find friends, you can find family members, people that are close. Start out with just doing things that are, that you can easily accomplish. I wouldn't do anything that has a crazy budget. You probably don't have $300 to spend on a short film, so do something that only requires you to have a DSLR. If you're at school or anything like that, then they should have like cameras and stuff like that that you could rent out for a certain amount of time at your campus or at your school if you're in high school or anything like that. And just kind of make do of your resources that are around you. You have a lot of filmmaking friends, a lot of filmmaking peers. Believe it or not, all you have to do is just look for them. So to get started out with, I would just, simply, talk to your friends, have them help you out. That's actually exactly how I started doing things. Back on my old channel, I just had a bunch of my friends and family members that would help me out with shooting things and stuff like that. And through that, I realized what I was able to do, what looked bad, what looked good, what I can keep, what I can throw away. And in the midst of all that, you just learn and you just grow. So to start out, success is a long journey, it's a long process, but to start out right now, I would just look at trying to get your filmmaking friends and family members to help you out with your project. What colleges in Texas should I apply to be a film major? Well, personally, I think that you don't necessarily need film school in order to be a great filmmaker. You can be doing film right now where you are. Some of your more popular choices here in Texas as far as majoring in film are gonna be your schools like the art institutions, University of Texas, UT film program. That is really popular. Stephen F. Austin also has a pretty good program that I hear. And also recently, I've been hearing a lot about ACC's community college's film program. I hear that their college is actually doing really well in their film major. And some people are actually telling me, this is not my personal opinion, I'm not completely sure, but some people are actually telling me that their program is a lot better than UT's program. So you have different varieties. You can also do online. You can also go to New York and do film school. You can also go to Florida to do film at Full Sail University. It really just depends on where you want to go. One of my favorite filmmakers right now, and someone that I really look up to, is Ryan Connolly, and he went to Full Sail University. I don't necessarily think that you have to go to film school in order to be a filmmaker. It's going to help you in many different ways, just like doing it on your own, and just networking is going to help you in many different ways. I think if you go to film school, you're going to make a lot of connections. You're going to make a lot of networks and stuff like that. I think I spoke about this on my channel before, but I don't think you necessarily need to go to school for that. But if you are looking to go to school and you want your time to be invested in, if you are going to go to school, you want your time to be invested in something valuable like film, then I would definitely look at those places if you are in Texas. But of course, don't take my word for it. Do your own research and see what works best for you. What camera should I buy to start off? That is a big question. You really have to hone in on how it is that you plan to shoot. What do you like to do? What do you have already? If you don't have a lot of lights, if you don't have a lot of money to invest in lights, then you might want to look into getting a camera that is going to be really good at handling low lighting situations, like the Sony a7S or the Sony a6300. The Lumix GH series also has better lighting features than your standard Canon Rebel or your Nikon or anything like that. I started off with a Canon Rebel T5. It wasn't the best camera as far as lighting, but I made it work. I looked up lighting techniques. There are tons of different videos and techniques out there that'll show you exactly how to light with only the light that you have, using only practical lights that you have in your room, lights that you have in your apartment, and it'll show you exactly how to do that. Coming up pretty soon here, I'm actually gonna do a segment where I shoot an entire sequence just using available light. So if you don't have a lot of lights and stuff like that, I would definitely look at the Sony. But then of course, if you have some money in the bank and you kind of want to invest into something good as your first camera, start looking at these cameras that are really impactful, but they're super small, like the Blackmagic Cinema Pocket camera. That's a really good camera as well. I currently am shooting on a Ursa, and I love it. And it's a big step up from my last camera, but always understand this: when you get your first camera, it's not the camera that you're gonna stay with, okay? But you should get a camera that is gonna challenge you. You don't want a camera that's gonna do everything for you. If you have the money for some reason to get a Red as your first camera, I wouldn't necessarily do that. I mean, it'd be cool, but you're gonna really learn the hard way. I think it's it's best to really learn the hard way, kind of push yourself. Get a camera that's not gonna do everything for you so that you can learn different techniques on how to accomplish what you wanna accomplish. But to start off, I am personally a huge Blackmagic user. I love Blackmagic. I love the series. I love all of their cameras. I love what they have to offer. I love the feel, the silky, milky quality that it has to it. But personally, I would start out with something that is going to challenge you. Figure out what it is that you have, figure out what it is that you own, hone in on what it is that you are as a filmmaker and how you tell stories. And then from there, go ahead and make your selection. I want to start getting into music videos. How do I find clients? I wouldn't necessarily try to find clients. I would allow opportunity for clients to find you. You don't want to necessarily search for people to, shoot. I mean, you can essentially go to people and ask if they need work done, and if they do, then bam, there you go, you have a client. But the best way, the way I went about with it was just doing my own things. Shooting my own things. I would go outside and just shoot different shots, make them look, as best as I could. And I would shoot short films that I wanted to do. I would just, one-man bandit. I would just do everything myself. And then through that, people started seeing like, oh, you have, some talent. I would, love for you to shoot this music video. And then from there, that's exactly how I actually started with clientele work and freelancing, on the regular. So I would start by just doing what it is that you want to do. Show people that you have a skill set, because no one's going to necessarily want you to do something for them if they don't know what it is that you can do. So start by doing something, start by doing things around the house, things with your friends, your family, like I said. And just hone in basically on what it is that you can do and try to find your style so that when you go to shoot for other people, you can bring something to the table and you already know how it is that you want to execute what it is that you're going to do, simply because you already have your own style of work. With the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 2.5K, the highest frame rate is 30 frames per second. Normally, to get slow motion, you need at least 60 frames per second. Is there any way to make 30 frames per second slow motion? No, you can't shoot at slow motion up to 30 frames per second. I think 59.94 and up is really the best, smoothest slow motion you're going to get as far as frame rates. You can't do it at 30 frames per second. There are ways with the camera that you have to get slow motion images. I'm not necessarily, I don't know exactly how it is that it's done. I've seen different videos on it. I will link a video, as a matter of fact, either here in the description below for you to go check out. And this will probably be, more help than me trying to figure out how it is that you can get slow motion with 30 frames per second. I know for a fact that you can't actually do that, but with the camera, the specific camera that you have, there are ways to alter that and for you to get slow motion with the camera that you have, even if it doesn't go all the way to 60 frames per second. How do you haze up a whole room? How many fog machines do you use? There are many different ways to haze up a room or fog up a room. I've only worked with a hazer once, and it worked pretty well for me. It wasn't really a good hazer. It was a cheaper hazer, so it didn't really work as well as I would like for it to have worked. But I have used fog machines literally on almost anything that I am doing. As a matter of fact, I have a short film shoot coming up this weekend where we're going to be using fog heavily. And the key to fogging up or hazing up a room really well is, if you want to go the cheaper route, get fog. Fog it'll do what it is that you want it to do. Haze is 10 times better, yes, and it's a lot easier to accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish. There are also lens filters that you can get that'll allow you to have the hazy look. But if you're going for the more cheaper route, which is usually what I'm going for, is gonna be your fog machine. And it's very simple. Really what you want to do is just get the atmosphere, the way you want it. Set up your lights, set up everything that is that you need, kick on that fog machine, and then let it go for about a couple of minutes until the room or your specific area is filled up. Once it is filled up, start grabbing fans or cardboard boxes or anything that you can to wave and even out the fog around the room. Once you do that, you're gonna see that you have a little bit more balance in your area. It's not gonna be too foggy in one area. It's not gonna be not foggy at all in any other specific area. Go ahead and balance out the room, fan it out. And then from there, you should have a pretty well balanced out image. Don't allow the fog machine to go on for too long, because if you allow the fog machine to go on for too long, then this is when you're gonna be ready to roll, and then you realize that you just have a bunch of fog just hanging in the air. And that is a result of you actually using the fog machine too much. Now with haze, it has a different material, different texture. When it fills the room, it does it in a hazy way. Fog is not necessarily gonna do that. It's substitute, it's baby brother to that. But there are ways to manipulate it to get the image that you want. What brings you inspiration? I'm in between projects right now and I'm trying to figure out what's next. The things that inspire me are just ideas, phrases, words. The smallest things can honestly spark an idea and spark something that it is that I wanna do. And I think what's a great practice is making sure that you're always generating ideas in your head. Don't allow yourself not to think of something or not to act on something just because you're in the middle of another project. Now, I wouldn't say do multiple things at once because then you'll get distracted. You need to focus on the specific project that you're working on, but always have ideas generating in your head, because you never want to find yourself at the end of the day done with projects and you're just like, oh, well, what now? What am I doing now? You want to always continue to generate. You want to always continue to generate ideas. You never want to find yourself stuck. You never want to find yourself, not knowing what it is that you want to do next. And that happens sometimes, but that's okay. It hasn't necessarily happened to me before, because one thing that, like I said, that I put into practice is just making sure that my ideas are always generating. Talk to your friends. Your friends have tons of ideas, and you never know which ones may spark your attention. You can go ahead and shoot a project that's actually something that your friend wants to do, and then you guys can actually evolve it and turn it into something that you want to do. And you take things that you want to do and mix it in with things that they want to do, and now you have yourself a project. And that's usually what it is. It's just you just continue to generate ideas. Look at movies, pay attention to what they're doing. If you like a specific shot, start thinking about things that you can do to accomplish that specific shot. That, of course, that'll make sense. That'll give off that same mood, if that makes sense. So when it comes to inspiration and stuff like that, it's very tricky. There's no definite answer. Just always make sure that you're doing different things to keep yourself active, because you always want to continue to do more. You want to be looking forward to the next project, not trying to think of when the next project is. That concludes our questions for today. Today's episode is brought to you by Lux Brand. Lux Brand is an online shopping company that is moving rapidly up the charts. You can shop men or you can shop women and take a look at all of their goodies. From putting your actors in your film and some awesome top-of-the-line accessories, or of course, if you just want to look sexy, you should definitely check out Lux Brand and what these guys have to offer over there at their store. As a matter of fact, these guys are so extremely cool, sweet, and awesome. They're hooking you guys up with your very own personal discount of 20% off every time that you use the coupon code vilitefilms at checkout. And of course, as always, if you want your question to be featured on an upcoming episode like so, where I actually sit down and take the time out to answer some of you guys' questions, all you have to do is comment your question in the comment section below, or follow us on Twitter, @usyourquestion, and hashtag vilitefilms somewhere in your question. Also, you can follow us on Instagram, where we're posting a lot of cool stuff, and you can keep up with exactly what it is that I'm doing and who I'm working with. And like I said, I'm gonna be giving suggestions now. So for my suggestion of the week is an amazing film that Netflix just released that I'm drooling over. I can't stop fangirling about this film. I've been telling all of my friends, I've been telling everybody that I know, whether they're into film or not, to watch this film, that it is a complete masterpiece, and that is The Ritual. It's a 2018 film that's just been released on Netflix, and I can tell you that this film is just beautiful. It's amazing, from the cinematography to the scoring, which is actually my favorite part about the film, to the storyline. It has so much to say. You do have to watch it all the way to the end. You may be confused, may not be confused, you may understand it from the jump. David Bruckner, who is the director, did a tremendous job with this film. And whoever scored it as well deserves 10 Grammys or Oscars, or I'm pretty sure that's not exactly what they're gonna get, but they deserve some type of award. This film, like I said, is just something that you're going to drool over if you are anything like me and you are appreciating artistic film. It's a horror film, but it's not your typical horror film. I feel that it falls under the category of like horror, psychological, all at the same time. And if you're confused about anything that I'm saying, then just go watch the film for yourself. I promise you won't be disappointed. But that is it for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, you're watching Vilite Films, a show that'll get you as a filmmaker to where you need to be and always continue to create.